Hi, welcome back to Green Living. Now, earlier we learned about the basics of gardening, and now we're ready to do some planting. Like me, I'm sure that you're gonna find some kitchen scraps in your home that we can use to grow new greens for you to enjoy every day.
You'll only need the following: a knife or a pair of scissors, chopping board, glass container with clean water, pots with soil, and kitchen scraps that we often have in our home, like a pineapple, potatoes, spring onion, and bell peppers.
Pineapples can be reused and regrown simply by removing the tops. You cut off the top, remove the smaller leaves near the base, and then soak it in water. Now, roots will form off the top in about 2 to 3 weeks, and once you see the roots, it's ready to be transplanted directly into soil. You can also regrow your spring onions from your leftovers. If you're doing some cooking with spring onions, cut about 4 inches above the root. So that's about here. Now this is the part that you cook with, but this is the part that you re-soak in water to grow the roots. Simply soak it in water, and after about 7 days, you're ready to replant that directly in soil. If you're doing any cooking with green or red peppers, make sure that you harvest the seeds. Now you take the seeds and make sure that you dry them out very well before you actually germinate them. Now, peppers will grow in warm areas with moist soil, but make sure that you don't have any standing or pooling water where you plant. Once you've got your seedlings, keep them indoors for about 8 to 10 weeks, and by then, they'll be ready to plant directly into your garden. Cut a potato with 2 to 3 eyes in half. Now set those halves aside to dry for about 24 hours. Once they're dry, they're ready to plant, eyes pointing up, in about 4 to 8 inches of soil. Later on, we'll learn more about other kitchen scraps that we can use as starters for our mini gardens here in the city. But for now, let's go visit Glo's urban garden right here in Manila to learn more about her passion for growing her own herbs and vegetables from her home.
I'm Glo de Castro. I'm an avid urban gardener. It's my passion and it's also my advocacy. We used to live in the province and we had a sizable backyard. But when I bought my own house, space has become a luxury. In my situation, cemented yung ground, so walang soil actually. I cannot plant directly on the soil. Another problem also is time. Nauubos ang oras natin sa traffic, so you don't get to tend to your garden. So I had to rely on container gardening, which means sowing directly into the containers. What's nice about container gardening is you can actually move them around. And also, because it's containerized, it's easier to replace them eventually. If na-harvest mo na yung plants, you can just change the soil and put another one. You don't have to till the soil or create a big garden. It's very flexible. I'll show you now my urban garden over here on this side. I have at least 40 different types of plants. Hindi mo naman kailangan malaking space para magkaroon ng garden. In your community, you can identify an open space. Pwede mong ilagay sila sa pots para mas ma-maximize mo yung space na available dun sa community. I realized that I want to encourage more Filipinos to do urban gardening, but another limitation is unavailability of information. Kasi most of the time when you search the internet, a lot of those websites that you find in the internet are actually catering to countries with temperate weather. So a lot of times when you use the same techniques, they don't work. Kasi nga iba yung environment. So I said, maybe I should try to have my own blog or website so I can share my experiences with my fellow urban gardeners. It's good that they don't have to do the same mistakes that I started with. Some of the common mistakes that beginners make is they forget that you need sunlight. Kasi pag sinasabi nila, bakit ayaw tumubo nung halaman ko? Eh, may araw ba yan? Or hindi, may araw naman sa morning eh, pero how many hours ba yung sunlight na nakukuha niya? We have to find out which plants can live with probably just 4 to 6 hours. Tendencies for most gardeners is dinidiligan nila sa dahon. Chances are, pag sa leaves rin kasi, it can also be prone to fungal infections. Diretso dapat sa soil. You focus on the soil and not on the leaves. The tendency rin kasi for a lot of gardeners is they either water too much or water too little. Standard rule is to check the soil. Siguro 1 or 2 inches. If it's still moist, then you don't have to water it. Another common mistake is that they tend to use a kind of soil that does not really drain well. I would suggest that they use good quality potting soil, usually available in most garden shops. Ito yung potting soil, ito yung ordinary garden soil. Yung ordinary garden soil, tumitigas siya. Whereas pagka potting soil, mas madali siyang madurog o mag-crumble. This is important kasi kailangan yung tubig nakakadaloy mabuti up to the roots ng halaman at hindi siya naiiwan at baka mabulok din yung ugat ng halaman. Another mistake is that we forget that plants, especially those that you grow in containers, need their nutrients. Karamihan naman ng mga organic fertilizers are available commercially. But you don't have to buy actually. You can make your own. You can actually use rice wash. It's very effective. Eggshells, it's rich in calcium. You grind it. Banana peels are rich in phosphorus, which is needed by the plant for it to grow more fruits. Coffee grounds is also effective. Coffee grounds are rich in nitrogen. So what you do is you get a handful of coffee grounds, you sprinkle it on the sides of the plant, and you mix in the soil. Kahit na it takes time and effort to pursue urban gardening, I think it's really worth it pa rin. It helps you relieve stress. Before I enter the house, I visit the garden again. It's sort of a way for me to download all the negative energy that you probably have accumulated before you go to your family. And it helps. If you have children, this is this opportunity for you to help them develop that character. What I notice kasi sa mga bata ngayon, they're becoming impatient because everything is available. They just have to click. It's so easy. So they become impatient. Gardening actually helps them go back to the basics, meaning be patient, hard work, persevere. In urban gardening, you naturally develop a high level of patience because in gardening, you cannot force a plant to grow. Sana in the future, more Filipinos would be involved in gardening. It helps the environment. If you grow your own food, that's actually equivalent to even planting a tree. As an urban gardener, you can still contribute to a better environment by growing your own food because growing your own food reduces carbon footprint.
Now, earlier on, we planted some new greens in our backyard using food scraps. Now, here are some other useful kitchen scraps that could be beneficial for your urban garden.
If you have oranges at home, remember to keep your orange peels. You can actually use them as insect repellent for your garden. First, shred or chop your orange peels into small pieces. Then, plant your peels in your garden or sprinkle them around your plants to repel ants and other insects.
Eggs make excellent seedling starter pots. It's very simple. Simply crack an egg on one end, empty it out, and once the eggshell is dry, you can fill it with your soil. Add your seedling, top it off, and wait for it to grow. Once your seedling sprouts, you're ready to plant in your garden. Now, for you coffee lovers out there, well, coffee grounds, just like eggshells, make an excellent pest repellent against things like slugs and snails. It also makes a very good fertilizer because it's a perfect source of calcium for your plants. With all the available items and produce around us, it's important that we keep track of the daily waste that we produce. By simply sorting out our kitchen waste and reusing it, well, we contribute to a much greener and more sustainable community.
We can all learn from various individuals all over the city. From urban gardener moms to private organizations, we can learn and show that we can all make a difference.
Well, that's all I have for you for this week. For more tips on a greener lifestyle, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'll see you guys next week, right here on Green Living. Okay, yung 18 months,
Oo.
2 weeks ago.
Isang taon?
Now, oranges can be a very useful thing in your garden. You can use them as an insect repellent and insect repellent. With all the available produce and items